Good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Rangers Review morning briefing. It is Friday, the 14th of November. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning not by Johnny McFarlane, who's poorly. We wish Johnny well, but Chris Jack has answered the call at the 11th hour. We're a team. It's a team game, this, at the briefing, and thank you for Chris for stepping in. How's it going, Chris?
Answered the call at the 11th hour and the 11th minute, but no, all good. Hopefully, Johnny, as you say, hopefully he's feeling better, feeling somewhat under the weather right now. So no doubt he'll be tuning in from his sick bed just to keep an eye on how we're performing this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get stuck in, a quick word for our podcast sponsors, Willow's Fencing. If you're looking for a new fence, folks, and certainly down here in Warrington, it's blowing a gale, so I might be on the phone to them. If you're looking for a new fence, these are the guys to call. They've got 20 years of experience in the fencing trade. They're proud partners of the Rangers Review. No job is too big or too small, and they also offer 10% off if you use the code Rangers Review over on their website, willows-fencing.com. Do go and check them out. Right, what we're going to do today, folks, because we're nearly over the hump in terms of the international break. If you want to get your questions in to myself and Chris, please do so. We'll get through as many as we possibly can. A question yesterday on is Tab deserving of a new contract certainly sparked debate. But if you have anything that you want to get off your chest, send it on over to us and we'll get through it. But before we do that, you've got an exclusive piece on the website, Chris, with regards to Danny Röhl's backroom team. Rangers looking to bring in a set-piece coach.
Josh was very excited when I told him about this. I told him about this story the other day there and told him that we could have something on the site. He's that excited. He's already got the follow-up written to it, so I think that's going out tomorrow morning. He's had a bit of a look at the numbers, had a look at the data and why this is such a good idea. I think him and Blair have also been in the podcast studio, and they've got a video coming out over the weekend as well, where he goes into a bit of detail on, again, why this is a good idea. I've not seen, since we put the story out a couple of hours or so ago, I've not seen anyone come back and say, this is terrible, what a waste of a wage, why are Rangers going down this road? Because we've spoken about it before. It's an area that Rangers have not been good at for a long time. It's an area where there's certainly room for improvement, and I think it's a bit of shrewd bit of business from Danny Röhl if he can find the right person to come in and complement the staff and to give a bit of a specialised view in that area. I think it would certainly be a good move. So interested to see who they end up with and how this progresses. But as you say, that story this morning just kind of confirming that it is something that's very much on the agenda. And as I say, we'll see how it unfolds and who actually gets that particular role.
Yep, John O'Donnell gets in touch. He says our set pieces at both ends of the park have been poor for a long time. Long overdue appointment. Totally agree, John, on that front. Big bugbear in mind, especially defensively. Rangers losing cheap goals, and I think it's a good sign that they're looking to bring in someone that is a specialist in that area. Just give Nick Culshaw a call. Tom Culshaw, Nick Culshaw. He's a singer, of course. Give Tom Culshaw a call, get him back in the fold. But Billy Dodds did good work with the set pieces last season as well, I'm sure, when Barry was at the helm. It's part of the modern game, of course. Most big clubs have someone that specialises in these key areas. God, you get specialist throw-in coaches these days as well. So I think it's important Rangers looking at that. It's easy wins for me, set pieces. A big part of the game. And Rangers haven't been good at either end of the pitch for quite some time. Although I have scored some goals from set pieces now, which is good. But I do like to see invention, varying things up. So hopefully this is a positive step and they can bring someone in quickly. And you also have an update, Chris, on, of course, looking at that Rangers background sort of coach that Danny Röhl is looking to bring in. Discussions ongoing with regards to that.
Just on the set piece one again, you mentioned some of the bigger clubs that do have it. I think probably the example that people will know most is Arsenal and the success that they've had from set pieces and from being able to work them in a different way. I think some of the the coverage down south of Arsenal's success in that regard has been a bit unfair. There's many different ways to win games of football, and if you can find an advantage, if you can find an area of the game where you can find that marginal gain, well, Arsenal are showing the way that you can capitalise on it. It's been quite strange. Rangers have looked, or when they have looked more effective from set pieces, it's been Nico Raskin, the smallest man in the team, that has looked the danger man. There's not been an awful lot of goals coming from other areas. I thought actually the one Cornelius scored at Ibrox a couple of weeks ago, good delivery from Tav. Cornelius his movement's good. It's a good header. I think we've seen a wee bit more variation since Danny Rule came in, but clearly an area where there is so much more scope, and certainly a lot of room for improvement. So, as I say, I don't see the downside in this one. On the local coach, again, a point that's been raised a number of times on the show. We've spoken about it. Still no kind of prime candidate, if you like, for that. Number of guys have been spoken to. I know Danny Rule said the week before the break that it was something that would be on the agenda during this break. So no kind of firm update on that as far as we're aware. But of course we'll keep asking the question and see if there's anything that we can bring the fans on that to give them a name.
Yeah, some of the names that have been linked, of course, Stevie Smith, who's already in the building at this point in time. Neil McCann, also there as well, that has been linked with the role, who has experience, of course, was part of Barry's backroom team last season at the end of the campaign. And Stephen Davis is another name that has been linked. I would have no qualms with either of those pitching up at Ibrox and helping out with Danny Rule and the coaching side of things. But let's hope it gets sorted sooner rather than later. Point here from Gordon, and this is what I love about this show. You correct me on but I don't know what he's up to. He was certainly a guy that took no pride. Scotland taking on, is it Greece tomorrow, Chris? I think Conor Barron and John Souttar, of course, have been called up. Do you expect? I think John Souttar is a given to start that game. Conor Barron, he's been called up. Do you expect him to get any sort of game time?
Before we got into international matters, I actually interviewed Terry Hurlock a long time ago. He was back up at Ibrox. I think it was for the RYDC. I'm sure he was up to, or it was something along those lines. I'm sure it was a RYDC one. It was in Glasgow for, he might have been up for a speakers night, or he was up for another up for another event, and he returned to Ibrox for the first time in a long time. PR guy that I know really well. Set it up for us and got a really good chat with Terry. Really interesting character, and a bit of a cult hero. I don't know if he's the type of character that they're looking for to fulfil that particular role or not. But I think the actual profile of that coach is something that the club actually have to decide. Do they want someone that's just going to go in and shout at people? Do they want someone that's going to be specialised in a certain area of the game? It clearly has to fit into Danny Rule's style. It clearly has to have a similar outlook on the game. There's no point in bringing someone in who's going to be a contrarian just for the sake of it. So I think once the club decide exactly what kind of profile they want, that kind of narrows the search down a wee bit. So hopefully we can have some news on coaches of all shapes and sizes at some point. On Scotland, I think John Souttar will start tonight. I'd be surprised if Conor Barron starts. Obviously got the call up fairly late on as a replacement after Billy Gilmour pulled out of the Greece game. But I think we will see Souttar at some point, and probably from the start in this game and in both games, to be honest, because it's obviously a huge double header for Steve Clarke and the national side.
for that. My computer decided to just break down. So apologies if that is ruined your enjoyment of today's show. I was frozen and I was sort of logged out as soon as you started that book. In fact, I don't know if you can still hear me now, but we'll try and crack on regardless. I was saying there that a number of the Rangers players are away on international duty. Chris, Scotland boys, of course, taking on Greece tomorrow night, and John Suter expect to start that game. You probably answered this before I was having nightmares with the laptop. But Conor Barron, do you expect him to get any minutes?
I think Blazing Blue probably sums it up here. That there was no internet issues. You've decided just to leave me hanging. We've done a couple of shows this week, and you've had enough of me. No, while you were breaking up and leaving us, I did answer the John Suter question. So yes, I think he. Right. I think he will start. I don't think Conor Barron will start. But as I said, there it's a big double header, obviously for Steve Clarke and the national side. So fingers crossed they can make it, because it would be nice to have a World Cup to look forward to next year with Scotland there. So fingers crossed they can do the business over the next couple of games.
This fortnight, of course, to work on things we touched on there, looking to bring in. And needs to be worked upon. I think certainly the striking area improved over this period of time. Is that a key area for you that Rangers need to work on?
Your picture has frozen and your sound is dodgy. I think you're asking me about striking questions or about strikers here. Yes is the short answer on that. They need to upgrade that number 9 area. This is a side that does not create enough chances. When they do create chances, they do not score enough goals. So there's definitely huge room for improvement in that area. They're not going to be challengers. They're not going to be champions if they don't score more goals. So there's definitely a real feeling amongst the fans that they would like to see a striker coming in, and it has to be early on in January. There's no point in saying we'll do a loan deal in the last couple of weeks of the window. If you're going to sign a number 9, you have to do that early. You have to try and build a bit of momentum through the window. So I'm sure that's something that they will be looking at. They will know that the number 9 options have not done what is required of them right now. So I think if you're to give the fans, I'm sure this is something we'll speak about near the time. I think if you're to give the fans one signing, one position, I'd be amazed if people don't say number 9. You have to go and strengthen that area if Rangers are going to achieve anything in the second half of the season.
Yeah, apology again, folks, about the technical difficulties here on my front this morning. Not ideal, but we'll crack on. I wanted to touch on Graham Souness, Chris, because he has been speaking about the January window coming up for Rangers. So there's a point that came in from Bolt Your Ball Bag, who says that hopefully Rule will come up with the signings in January. However, Souness has questioned whether Rangers should give Kevin Thelwell more money to spend. He's not held back here. I'm going to read you some of the quotes. He's been speaking to Sky Bet. He says about handing him more money. I don't think so, unless there is something in these players he's brought in that I'm not seeing. Some of them are just not good enough. All boards of directors look to find young players, pay little money for them, coach them up, and make them better, then sell them on for enormous profits. That would appear to be the Rangers' business model, but I don't see that happening with the players they've signed. Would you trust Kevin Thelwell with another chunk of money? I don't know if Rangers have another chunk of money to go again in the new year. And he's questioned whether this will continue, the squad, whether they're able to go on a winning run. He says Rangers are in a difficult place right now. I went on record when the 49ers Enterprises got majority shareholding that I thought that can only be good news because they've been involved at Leeds and can just transfer the knowledge and avoid the mistakes they've made there. But they've been disappointing, and the recruitment has been disappointing. For me, the most important thing in any football club is not having the best coach. It's about having the best players. It seems to be a correlation or a hell of a coincidence that all the best coaches have the best players. It doesn't happen by accident. If you've not got a great bunch of players, you're not going to do very well, even if you're a top coach. Right now, Rangers don't have the squad that's going to make them dominant. Neither Celtic nor Rangers are particularly strong right now, and the recruitment so far has shown that it's not been a good transfer window. So there you go. That is what the Magnificent One had to say on recruitment, Chris, and on Kevin Thelwell. Can't disagree with any of that, really.
Before we get, I do like that from Rangers Man 55 there. People discussing the punishment that should be going for you, and I have to agree there was no malice in your issues. So Willie Collum and the VAR team would agree it's a yellow card all day long. But as we were speaking about yesterday, the precedent has now been set though. So if there's a similar issue further down the line, yellow card is the way to go. On Graham Souness and on transfers, I think it's clear that the recruitment has not been as expected. It's not proven to be value for money so far. You look at how many successes out of the 12, 13 that were signed, how many are roaring successes? Not many. There's also a couple of high profile ones in there that certainly have to do better. I think if you can go into any window and you can have an 80% strike rate, I think you're doing well. It's never going to be 95. You're certainly never going to get 100% of a strike rate. But going into January, when you're potentially only going to sign a couple, you need everyone to come in. They all have to hit the ground running. They all have to contribute. The Danny Rowe factor is an interesting one. Now, Kevin Thelwell has been on record a number of times. He's made the point that he's never signed a player that a manager has not signed off on, that a manager doesn't want. That's not how the structure. That's not how the system operates. That's not how Rangers can work. You can't have a director of football and his recruitment team just signing players because they feel like it and then saying to a manager, "That's your squad, go and play with it." That's not how it works. Russell Martin was fully aware of everyone that was coming into the building. Danny Rowe will be fully aware of everyone that's coming into the building. Be interested to see, does he go into the German market? Does he get into the European market? We know his managerial expertise, his managerial experience is from the Championship. I think if there was a number of Championship players linked, the fans would not be overly chuffed at that, given a recent strike rate of Championship players. But will we see Rangers go in a different direction? I know there's a lot of talk about shopping in different markets. Now, do you go back to South America? Do you go out to Asia? Do you try and pick up a Hamza Agaman for less than $2 million and hope that he can turn into be a superstar? January's not really that window. You don't have the same timescales. Likes of Agaman, it took him several weeks to get up to speed. If you sign someone in January, you don't have several weeks. If you sign someone in January, you expect them to be playing the next game and you expect them to be able to contribute straight away. So I don't think going further down the line, I would like to see Rangers not going to expand the network again and try and create shopping in different markets once again. But I think when it comes to January, it will be players that Kevin Thelwell, Dan Purdy and the recruitment team are aware of. It will be players that the manager is aware of. I don't see Rangers taking any punts, because at that stage of the season, unless the next few weeks go really, really badly and there's no chance at all of the Premiership, you're basically writing off the second half of the season, then you could go and put your money into a bit more of a project, if you like. And you then give him a couple of months to actually settle in. He's then good to go for next season. But hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully these next few weeks are going to go well for Rangers, and by the time the window opens, they will be able to do a couple of deals early on, and then hopefully then to reap the benefits of that in the second half of this title race.
Yep. Gone Rogue, just on the back of that, says, question, do you honestly think that the board members and owners take notice of what the likes of McCoist and Souness say in the media concerning your transfer activities? Probably not. They're pretty laser focused at this moment in time with the guys that have been entrusted to run the football club, which is, I've got to say, is is majorly concerning for me, given what we've seen so far. So I think they need more. I think they need to listen to these sort of guys, the likes of Souness, the likes of McCoist. I know Alan Hutton was speaking about the recruitment, of course, in the previous Europa League match against Roma as well. I think it's important you take these points of view on board, and then because these guys have won the T-shirt with regards to Rangers, not only that, they know what it means to win at Rangers and win titles, which is what everyone wants at the end of the day. My concern is there's too many in there that just aren't acutely aware of what is required. So there you go. You mentioned markets there, Chris. Do you think the Scottish market is something that Rangers might look to? I would doubt it, given you just mentioned there likes of Purdy, Thelwell and Son, and the guys he's brought in tend to just look down south in the main. But is there anyone in Scotland Rangers should be looking at, and what's the likelihood of bringing players in closer to home, do you reckon?
I think it should be done. Now, we spoke about it obviously a lot in previous windows when Lauren Shanklin's name was also doing the rounds every 5 minutes, and there was a lot of debate about whether Shanklin would be a good bit of business. Going even further back, it was Shanklin or Miovski. I wonder how would things have unfolded if they'd gone for Shanklin rather than waiting for Miovski and bringing him in. I think it's good to have that core. It's good to have that spine. It's difficult to do though, because clubs, as we know, as soon as Rangers are interested, the price can go up. I think you're looking at someone like Kieran Bowie at Hibs maybe as a younger profile, someone that's got a bit of potential, certainly got a lot of improvement. But it's then, well, what would Hibs accept, or what would Hibs look to do business at in terms of one of their best players? If Rangers come calling, it's not going to be cheap. I know Mulligan. There we go. Sorry for stealing your thunder there. But you look at someone like Mulligan. That was one that Rangers were quite far down the line with, and also the change of ownership, change of regime. That then put the brakes on that one. I do think they should be able to go and find the best of what's available, go and find the best Scottish talent. But you mentioned the international side. Look at the Scotland team that we expect to face Greece, and then again to that game at Hampden next week. There's not a lot of them actually play in Scotland that would be viable signings. If someone could say you can have Billy Gilmer, then great, we'll take him. But that's obviously not going to happen for a number of reasons. So I would like to see it happen. You think of successful Rangers sides; they've always had that Scottish core. But there's no point in signing players just because they are Scottish, just because they happen to play in your league. They have to be of the required standard and have the required quality, have the required character as well. So it's not just a case of, well, there's someone playing well for Hibs, Hearts, Aberdeen, let's just go and sign them. There's other metrics and other targets that obviously they have to hit at the same time.
Yeah, there certainly is, and it's been for me not only this year but down the years a bit of a snobbery, and that's something that with regards to buying players in Scotland. And Niels Coppin came out in the AGM last year, of course, and they're looking to snap up one of the brightest young Scottish talents year on year. And you think, okay, that's a step in the right direction. We've got Lyle Cameron in, of course, but I doubt that will be a thing that will be the case right now for Rangers, which I'm not too happy about. I've got to say, because like you said, good successful Rangers teams down the years have had that Scottish core in there, and you can't have too many for me. They have to be good enough, of course. You can't just flood your team and squad with Scottish boys just because they are from these isles. But I think there's enough players out there that could enhance this team at this point in time. Graham Gillis, just staying on the topic of transfers. He says, can anyone confirm if it was only Thelwell or Martin who signed our current squad, or was it both? It would have been a combination of both, Graham. I very much doubt, or you don't really see that at any club where a sporting director just brings players in if the head coach doesn't sign off on them, Chris. That would not be a good situation to be in.
No, it wouldn't, and that's not how Rangers will operate. That's not a formula that's going to end well. So I think you can go through the signings, and some are clearly more Thelwell than Martin. So Thelwell is Shamiti clearly because he's got that previous relationship, but Joe Rothwell would be more of a Martin one because again he's got that previous relationship. Cheating McComa falls into that category as well. So it's not a case of it was all the sporting director and the recruitment team, or it was all Russell Martin. It has to be a collaborative approach. It has to be everyone has their say. And the big point again I made earlier on, one that Kevin Thelwell has made a few times, he can't sign players and then say to the manager, well, I've spent X number of millions on them, you have to go and play them. That's not how it works. Rangers won't operate in that way. They can't operate in that way. We can all debate whether the recruitment has been good enough or not, whether a lot of these players are good enough or not. But I think the process behind it is fairly clear.
Yeah, we'll wrap up with this one. A question from, first of all, Archibald Allison gets in touch. Great name, Archibald, who says, keep up the good work, boys. Be listening on Monday in Goa. 33 degrees over there. Absolutely fantastic. You just rub it in, Archie, on that one, but hopefully you enjoy your time over there. And Rangers Man says, I'm shocked at how poor Miovski has been. Can he turn it around? I know he never played much in Spain. Maybe that is behind his form. I've been really disappointed in Bojan Miovski. When he signed at the time, I thought, that makes sense because we've seen what he did at Aberdeen. I didn't pay too much attention to his time at Girona. I know as the comment comes in there saying he didn't play much, did struggle for game time. Perhaps there is a reason why they were looking to offload him. He looks like a player struggling for confidence at this moment in time, Chris. I'm not giving up on him at this point because I know he is decent and they might just be going through a patch of form that's a bit dire at this point in time. But Miovski, for you, can he turn it around?
I hope so, because he really has to, doesn't he? The more that he doesn't perform, the more that he doesn't score, it puts even more pressure on Sharmiti. A game like Sunday should have been the ideal Miovski match. So you play Sharmiti in your European game against Roma on the Thursday, and Miovski then starts on the Sunday. But it's just not. It's also not worked for either of them. But I think Miovski has been more of a surprise. I can't give the recruitment team too much of a kicking for that one, because, like you, I thought it would be a good bit of business. I was fairly content when that one got done. Josh has done a big deep dive on Miovski. It's on the site Monday, I think, or maybe over the weekend, and he's looked at some of the underlying numbers behind his form and behind some of his failings. Like you, I'm not going to write him off and say it's a complete disaster just yet, but we need to see something more from him. We need to see certainly goals is the obvious thing, but I mentioned this after the Dundee game at the weekend. The hold up play has not been good enough, and not in terms of being a Morelos figure that can go and dominate an entire back four in the Europa League by himself. Hold up play just in terms of taking it in and doing the basics. So I think there's more to come. And like you touched on there, he looks a guy that's just needing. He needs a bit of a confidence boost. He needs around the team. He needs a goal. But when you've got the two, you've got Miovski and you've got Sharmiti that are both in a similar downward spiral right now. Trying to get them both heading in the right direction at the same time is difficult. Hopefully, it doesn't prove to be a case of one or the other, because, as we touched on a wee while ago, if Rangers are going to be successful, if they are going to have a good second half of the campaign, you need to find more goals, and ideally you need to find more than one source. So if Danny Rowe can find a way of getting them both back on track, that would be great. But saying that, I would still like to see another one come in during January, just in case.
Yeah. Just one. I'd be wanting two to come in, to be honest, but there you go. Right, that will do us there, folks. Thank you for tuning in and persevering with us as well due to my technical breakdown here with my Wi-Fi laptop. The whole thing shut down. So thank you for staying with us this morning and your patience and for interacting with the show as ever. Big thank you to Chris for stepping in. For Johnny. Hopefully he's on the mend soon. And yeah, we've got plenty of Rangers content coming your way over the weekend. Chris and Stevie's The Talking Point is out. Is it tomorrow or Sunday, Chris? And what is it you boys are talking about?
We are having a bit more of a look at Danny Rowe and how he's managed to kind of win over the Rangers fans, the impact that he's made. On a similar theme, I've got a piece on the site on Sunday that I'm just going to go and finish off and get sorted just now. Again, looking at some of the things that he's done, from the message to the fans that night in Bergen, some of the behind the scenes interactions that he's had with members of staff, the mood in the squad. So a bit more of a look at just the impact that he's had in and around the club, and myself and Stevie have a chat about that as well, and also lay out what he has to do to keep that feel good factor, to keep things ticking over, to keep people in a positive frame of mind. It'll come as a surprise to no one that the answer to that is to keep winning games. Yeah, and as well as that, Joshua and Blair have been in the studio at Rangers Review HQ, and they've also recorded a show. So, yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that. Saturday and Sunday, they'll both come out, folks. So, plenty to keep you entertained over the weekend. And I'll be back again on Monday morning. Hopefully the laptop doesn't die on you then. But there we go. Enjoy your Friday and your weekend, whatever you're up to, and we'll chat again soon. Bye for now.